Hello there guys, and welcome to this live stream. Today we are going to do something a little different, and today we're going to be going through the process of making flight sim videos. Obviously there are a lot of workflows involved in the making of flight sim videos, and I am by no means going to go through everything in this live stream. But what I hope to do in this event is to show you guys the process, and then I'm going to do a lot of follow-up streams and videos to actually show you the full secrets of the trade, if you will, on how to make flight sim videos. We are currently situated at Key West Airport in the state of Florida in the United States, and we have the King Air Airfoils 350 loaded here at the airport. And just a few housekeeping items before we begin. First of all, I want to thank everyone who has become a member of the Q8Pilot channel. Welcome to the VVIP membership, along with the perks that are already listed on the YouTube membership page. There are many things that I plan ahead for members, including private streams, and a lot of the tutorial videos or the secrets of the trade streams are going to be probably only for members. So this is going to be an introduction, and then the rest of the series will be for members only. I want to thank Omari, Joseph, and Full Flight for agreeing to become moderators of the channel. Thank you very much, folks. I can see Full Flight is here today. And I want to, of course, welcome all the new joiners and all the new subs and members to the channel. I also want to remind you to support SimWings community. SimWings is a community that was established by flight simmers to help other flight simmers. So the link to their website is available in the description. So here's a preview of what we're going to do in this video. The very first thing when creating a cinematic is really to think about how you want to do your cinematic. Is that of an airport? You want to take a screen, a footage of an airport or an aircraft, or maybe you want to do just about everything. What we're going to do in this specific live stream is we're going to record a few sequences, and then I'm going to show you how I actually edit those, and how we're going to conclude by actually doing a YouTube thumbnail. We're not going to go in everything in detail, but again, as I said, I want you guys to see the process. Now, normally what I do when I'm creating cinematic sequences is I actually start up the aircraft, I fly around, and then I do a replay of the entire flight. And during the replay, I actually pause the replay and replay it again, and just pick the kind of scenes that I want. And of course, you have to make sure that the recorder is running. For recording, I use shadow play. I've used a lot of different tools for recording. I've used shadow play. I've used a program called Action. They all have their pros and cons, but I keep going back to shadow play. It's free. It's quite robust in terms of the output, and it gives you the ability to separate your audio track, which is extremely useful, and I'll tell you why later on when we start editing the video. So let us begin by recording a few sequences. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Alt-Shift-9, and now I have started recording this, and we're going to use this later on. So the first thing we're going to do is we are just going to go zoom out, okay, and then with the mouse button, I'm going to scroll in, and now we have a nice view of the airport. And then just use the arrow key to. I'm sure that you've seen, this kind of footage in many videos. So now we are actually recording this scene, okay? So that's the first sequence we want. Now we're going to go back here to the aircraft. And perhaps, we record a few scenes inside the aircraft. So I'm going to click on the walk around mode in X camera. And then we're going to start moving the camera in this direction. And then we're just going to give it a little bit of a tilt that way. All right, so now we're actually recording this. Okay, we move the mouse away. And this is actually how it's done. Okay, now remember that when you're recording the footage, there is a lot of footage that you're not going to use. And the bursts in the footage needs to be no longer than 5 seconds. Otherwise, it becomes really long and really boring. Okay, so that's one. And then we're going to tilt the camera the other way. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. All right, so this is another kind of angle that we're recording. Now, to make things just a little more interesting for our video, I'm going to come down here and we're going to point the camera upwards. All right, and we're going to move the camera in this direction like that. Okay, so I think this is enough for the interior of the aircraft. All right, so here's what we're going to do next. We are going to stop the recording now. Okay, so as you can see, it says recording has been saved. All right. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come here and we're going to select before takeoff. Okay, so the aircraft is now ready to go. And we're going to release the parking brake and we're going to head over to the runway. Now, all of this, by the way, is involved in the making of videos. Now, when you make, it's the other way around. When you make, of course, when you're doing, for example, a full flight, the editing is going to be different. And it's actually harder when you're doing a full recording because you have to record the entire video and then edit the parts that you don't want. And I'll tell you, I do make a lot of mistakes when I'm recording, full flights. So I just edit the parts I don't want. Sometimes, the kids kind of just storm into my office and, they want something, so I have to stop the recording and I edit all of these things out later on. And by the way, you can see that there's, this stutter or skipping that's happening. That's from the new NVIDIA driver. So I will go back to the previous driver right after we finish the stream. It looks like the new beta and the new NVIDIA driver just don't go along very well. But that's okay. I mean, for the purposes of our video, that's perfectly okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. As soon as we take off, we're going to record a little more footage, and then we're good. Because I really can't stand this stuttering. So here we go. Yeah, I got to roll back the driver. Yeah, it's... It seems to happen only for where there is, ortho, where it doesn't happen where you don't have ortho, but that's perfectly okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to give this aircraft some power.
1,300 meters.
Auto feather lights on.
Caution, short runway.
Airspeed alive. 60 knots. V1.
Okay, V1, rotate. All right, now at this time, what we're going to do is we're going to switch X camera like that, and we're going to retract the landing gear. You know what, guys? We were not recording, so let's start recording now. Finally, Shift and 2. Okay, now you can, if you want, land the plane, okay, but I think we have sufficient footage for the purpose of, showing you what's involved there. So now we are pretty much done with recording our footage. We are going to quit X-Plane. All right, so now I guess you guys can see my desktop, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to open Adobe Premiere. Okay, now just on the video editing software, I have used many, probably almost everything available on the market. I've used, when I first started doing videos, I used Movie Maker, whatever comes with Windows, of course. And of course, it gives you, very rudimentary functionality to actually edit your videos. You can obviously do a lot of the things that you see on my videos or on other YouTubers and streamers. But I then started using a Movie Studio Platinum, and then I switched to Vegas Pro. And I've been actually using Vegas Pro for a very long time. Only recently, I switched to Adobe Premiere. I find Adobe Premiere to be a lot more intuitive in terms of editing your footage. Not only that, but I think it's got a lot more support, so for lower thirds and really nice graphics. So if you really want to create stunning videos, you can do them very, very easily with Adobe Premiere. You can do, by the way, pretty much everything on Adobe Premiere on Vegas Pro, but Vegas Pro is a bit harder. But I will say this, it's got a lot better rendering power for your videos. So when you are rendering the video, the final product, it's much, much faster with Vegas Pro. So let's see here. Let's go to new project, and I'm going to call, you can see here that I have the Arabesque project here. So we're going to call this live stream, and I'm going to probably put it somewhere in my Adobe projects right here. You can see some of the stuff that I've done before. So we're going to call this live stream. And we're going to select the folder, and we're going to say OK. All right. So all default settings, nothing. So this is the ID of Adobe Premiere. And now we want to bring our footage that we just recorded. So we're going to click here and go to videos. And the videos are in my Explain folder. So these are the 3 clips that we just recorded. And I'm just going to drag them and drop them into the timeline here in Adobe Premiere. That looks like another something else. So we can just remove that one. Okay. All right. So now this is the footage. As you can see here, if we click on Alt and scroll the mouse button, you can zoom in. And what I really like about Premiere is, by the way, you can see that there are a total of 3 tracks. The first track here is the video track. This track and the following track, so those 2 tracks are the audio tracks. And the audio tracks are, this is the first one you see is the desktop. So this is the sim sounds, and this is actually my voice. Okay, now there is one thing I want to show you before we delete the voice, because obviously when you're creating a cinematic, you don't really need the voice. So I just need to take a look at something here real quick. Yeah. So you don't really need the voice tracks. You can delete them. But I want to show you something that I do for the voice to make it a little more bright. I don't like to edit the voice too much because I like you guys to listen to my natural voice in my videos, but there is one filter that I use to make the sound a little more grand, if you will. And there are also some settings I use while streaming. So there are filters in Streamlab OBS, which is what I use to stream my videos. But let me show you what this is. So if I go to effects and we go to audio effects, okay, and then we're going to search for something called the parametric equalizer. The parametric equalizer is, I think, a very, very good filter. So we're going to take this and drag it on the second track, which is the track that contains my voice. Now the only thing we need to do is go to the effects control, and then we're going to go to custom setup, click on edit, and then from the preset menu, I select something called the vocal enhancer, okay? And I leave everything here at default. You can definitely play with it. You can deepen your voice, broaden your voice a little bit. You can do a lot of that stuff. But this is what I use with default settings, and it will basically apply it to both the left and the right. You know, if you're, I record every and stream in stereo, so it will apply it automatically to everything. Now, if you recall in the very beginning of the stream, I told you that I like shadow play, and one of the things in shadow play is that it allows you to record 2 tracks. So the sim track or the game sounds and the microphone. This is particularly useful because sometimes the sim sounds are just way too loud and they overpower my voice. And when I have 2 tracks, I have the ability to control the volume of each track separately. So if the sim is too loud, then I can turn it down. And the way you do this, you just simply right-click and go to audio gain, and you just simply change the, you change the volume here. You can say just, for example, -6, right? And you say okay, and voila, all is done. Your volume is set for that particular track. Now, what I do, because the video comes in multiple tracks, as you will see here, for example, so this is the first and this is the second. So actually what happens is that you have to listen to the entire video in order for you to assess the volume, because in some situations, as you, for example, take off, of course, while the plane is at the gate, your voice will be fine. But as you fly, external views, internal views, you have to really check your audio to make sure that at no point in your video the sounds of the sim overpower your voice. Another thing that could happen is that your voice is too loud. If your mic pickup is loud, then it's going to pick up a lot of noise. It's going to pick up a lot of echo, which used to be the case in some of my previous videos. I have managed to do a few tweaks in Streamlabs OBS to remove the echo, and I reduce the gain tremendously. So now what I do, I make sure that the mic pickup is not that great, and then I can control the audio in the actual editor. So I increase the volume if I feel that my voice can't be heard, and that's a much better way, in my view, than having a lot of echo and reverb in your clip. All right, excuse me. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We are going to take a look at this clip, and obviously the first thing we want to do is we want to go here to unlink, and that now we can delete the audio files or the audio sequences, and we're going to do the same for this clip here. So unclick, and we're going to delete that. So let's cut that and cut this one. All right, so now we have the pure video file, and we started somewhere from, let's see here. We started somewhere from here, okay? So what you want to do is you want to go to the beginning of your sequence and you want to count 5 seconds. All right, so this is when we started the move. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to start cutting. So we're going to cut right here, right click and remove anything prior to that. And then we're going to click on play. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to stop and click here again. And then you want to move a little bit here, and we can do that. So now we're going to click here and cut this part. All right, and then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I have created the sequence I want out of this particular scene. Now we're going to move to inside the aircraft. This is the scene we recorded earlier. All right, let's move it here. All right, so here we go. So we're going to cut everything before this. So we just want to start here and play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we cut that. And then we're going to move to the next sequence, which is the other way around. And we're going to cut everything before that. All right, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to stop. And finally, we go down here and start going up. So we'll do the same thing here. And we cut. And we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we cut again. And then we don't need, actually, I don't know what I've recorded here. So let's just play this around. Okay. So we don't need anything from this clip anymore, okay? So if you guys have any questions, please do let me know. And I will try to answer your questions as we go. So now we're going to go to this clip here. All right, so now, as you can see here, this is, we can start here. I think that looks good. And we cut that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll do this. We cut that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We cut that. And finally, we'll take the flyby. We cut that. And we're going to do this. We're just going to allow the flyby to finish. There we go. And we cut that. Okay, so now we have all the bits and pieces. Now you can arrange these the way you like. Just for simplicity's sake, what we're going to do is we're just going to move these right next to each other now. We have that. And finally, this one here. Oops, that didn't work. Okay, now we have this clip, and you can move it to the very beginning. By the way, there is a nice option in, when you do this in Adobe Premiere, you can come here to the beginning. Let's see here. And you can say mark in, and then you can come to the end of the clip here and say mark out. So now, actually, Adobe Premiere, when you export, it will only export this part of the, of the timeline. If you, however, export without marking the in and out, it will probably, you'll have a lot of black in your video. So, so definitely, this is a nice feature that you can use. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take one look at the entire clip. So we're going to go at the very beginning here and hit play. So that's one thing. As you can see, there's the jump there. There's the clip of the interior of the aircraft going up. Looks familiar, huh? And now this is the scene from the outside. And this is the final flyby that we've done. And then, of course, the video will come to a stop. Okay, so now this is parts of creating the cinematic. Now, we want to create, in order to make this look cool, you want to start adding some transitions between, between these lines here. This is where this clip ends and the second one starts. So this one here, because it is the same clip, it would make sense to add something like a film dissolve. So we're going to go to video transitions here. We're going to remove the filter and we're going to go to dissolve. And there's something called the film dissolve. We're going to take this here and put it on the timeline, and let's run it to see the effect. You see that? So that's something I'm sure that you've seen in a lot of my videos where, it just kind of fades into the view. Now, the very beginning of the clip, we're going to use something called dip to black. So this goes here. And now, if we come to the beginning of our video and click play, as you can see, it kind of dims, it dips from black to the scene. So it gives us a really nice kind of cinematic look to the video. All right, so now that we are coming here, this one here, so from this scene, so there's a change. So normally when I think about the videos, I think about the actual scene. So I use the film dissolve or the cross dissolve, this one here, when I'm moving the sequences in sort of like if it's the airport, then I will use just the cross dissolve and the film dissolve. If I'm moving from an airport or a certain object to, for example, an aircraft, or moving from an aircraft to a different aircraft, I use something called the cross zoom, this one here. So we can use this one here, and this is the effect. You see that? So now we can click here. You see that? It's pretty cool. And then again, I will use the same one as, you can use the cross dissolve here, and we can use the cross dissolve here again. Now we can play the sequence, and now we can see how, the cinematic moves from one scene to the other seamlessly. All right, so this one here, we can use the cross zoom again. Of course, I have a lot of transitions, and I'll tell you that I have not created all of them. But the nice thing is there is a website called Video Hive. I will provide it later on in the link in the description section. Video Hive has a lot of different features, whether they're lower thirds. I'll show you that in a minute. Lower thirds, transitions, a lot of different things. Very, very cool graphics. Even the new stuff that you've been seeing for subscribing to the channel, where you see the bell coming, all of that is actually stuff that's ready-made. You can purchase it. You can load it here in your essential graphics and then just load it into your video. So now we've used this one here. We're going to use the cross dissolve again here. Okay, and we're going to use it one more time here. And we're going to use the dip to black at the very end of our video. Okay, so now we have the full video ready. So this cinematic is now ready for production, other than the fact that the intro is not there and the music is not there. Okay, and maybe we want to add an intro or something to make it really cool. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import my intro, which you guys all know. So we're going to say import, and we're going to go to, is that my threshold? Yeah, those are my partners. So we're going to select the threshold MP4 here. Now, there's something very strange is when I move this particular file here, it does not bring in the audio. Okay, and there is a way around this. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, and we're going to go to this option. It says new sequence from clip. And once we do that, as you can see now, I have the video with the audio. Okay, so we're going to copy that, and we can now move this to our other sequence, and we can put it somewhere here. All right, and now we can, this is where this starts and this ends. Let's make sure that we put it right next to it, right there. And now what we can do is we can use the dip to black again in the effect. So we'll go to transitions and dip to black, so that, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. We wanted to use it on the other clip. There we go. So now here, all right, so this is my intro that you guys are all accustomed to. So now you can see that the transition between my intro into the video is very nice. It's seamless. And now we have the rest of the video. So let's do one thing. Let's add, for example, a title. And I just want to show you how easy it is to actually grab one of these. As you can see here, I have a lot of different things. Those are the callouts, for example, that I use in, if you've watched my my video, the review video on the Airbus side stick by Thrustmaster, I use those callouts throughout the video. So this is actually how it's done. You know, you just select one of these, and I've purchased these, by the way. Some of them are expensive, to be honest with you. Some of them are not. Some of them are like $10, $20, something like that. Some of them are really expensive. These are the end screens for YouTube. Again, really very, very easy to use. I really love Adobe Premiere. And by the way, I'm subscribed to their cloud plan. So just if you're wondering, I'm not sure whether, I forget the price now, but it's a monthly subscription, and I have access to all of the Adobe suite. The entire suite of Adobe products is available. So here is, let's see here. This is, for example, one of the stuff I used in my videos, this particular opener, but I'm looking for something. I've used these as well. You probably recognize them if you watch my videos regularly. So let's use, for example, this one here. Okay, so we're going to grab this title. We're going to add it here. And it's going to take just a minute to load it. Okay, so now this is the actual title, but as you can see, it probably needs a little bit of adjustment. So we can come here. No, we don't want text. We want that. And let's see here. All right, now we can move it. And this is, of course, the reason why it's so big. It's because it's meant for 4K monitors, but now it looks good. All right, now you can preview the title. So we can come back here and click on play. And now you can preview what the title is saying. And this is exactly what I do, guys, when I create my videos. All right. Now, of course, you have the ability to change the colors. So actually, let's do it here. Let me just bring this back here. We can change here and say, for example, something like cinematic. Yeah. And we're going to say here, made for, and we're going to say here, Q8Pilot live stream fans. Yeah, that works. Okay, so here we go. So now, as you can see, I have title. I can change the color. You know, you can just simply come here and change the colors to, for example, red, and we can change this also to, you know, to color red here. Maybe this color red. Yeah, and then of course you can change the, you can change this here. Let's see. Let's see. there. Okay, so here we go. What does this say here? All right, so it says to fix the stuttering or skipping, you can disable VSync inside Xplane. I will definitely give that a try before I roll back the drivers. Thank you very much for the advice. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I do have VSync. VSync enabled. So, do you normally try to use royalty-free music, or do you license some? I actually, for all the cinematic videos, I purchase licensed music clips from Audio Jungle. So that's my place to go for audio. For the stream here on YouTube, of course, I use music clips from the YouTube library because most of them don't require attribution, and those that require it, you can just simply put it in the description video. But I pay anywhere between $30 to $50 for the music clips that I normally use in my cinematic videos, and yes, they are all licensed. Let's see here. Okay, any other questions? I'm actually behind on the questions. I haven't been really looking too much. Okay, so now that we have this cinematic done, as you can see, it's quite easy to add those lower thirds because they're pre-made. Now we are ready to actually export this cinematic, only we need to change the place. So mark in here and mark in is out. So this is the only part that we are gonna actually export. There's one more thing that I want to show you guys, which I think is useful before we move on to the thumbnail, how to create the thumbnail. So now that you have your video and everything, some folks like to add a watermark just to kind of, added protection for their, hard work on YouTube. And it's actually a good idea to have, if you're recording videos, it's actually a very good idea to have a watermark. The way you do this is actually quite simple. We're going to go here to File, and we're going to say Import. And then I'm going to go to my YouTube channel, and we are going to go to, let's see here, Background Layer. So what I've done is I've created an image of, where is it? Not sure where it went. All right, so we'll do it the other way. We're going to come here, YouTube channel, and this one here. Okay, so let me just bring this on the timeline. Okay, so what this is nothing but an image. The file format is PNG, so it's a transparent image, and it only has my logo placed in the lower bottom corner, as you can see here. Okay. Now, I normally start this right here. So right after the intro and the lower third, I add my logo, yeah? But you don't really want the logo to be that prominent. So what you do is you go to the opacity here of this image right here. Okay, and let's see here. All right, controls. All right, so we go to the opacity and we change it to about, let's see, 20%. Let me see here. Okay, I think that's good enough. You can see it now. So now it acts as a watermark. But when you place the image in the timeline, it's only going to be, let me just zoom in here. So the image is actually just this part. You want it to really cover all your videos. So what you do is just drag it along the timeline. And now I have my, my logo in the entire video. Not sure why it's not coming now. There, it could be that the opacity. Yeah, I can still see the logo, but the opacity is not. Maybe you need it just a notch higher than what it is, so that you can see it in when the scene is brighter. Okay, so that's how you do your your watermark in the video, and now your video is pretty much ready for production. So in order to produce your video, you will go to File, and then you're going to go to Export, and you say Media. Now I'll show you exactly what I do to export. First of all, I click here to change the name of the file, of the output file. So I normally come here and change it to, say, live stream. All right, and we're going to say save. And then now I'm not going to go through my settings in this video on my recording settings. That's going to be saved for a dedicated video on how to actually record using NVIDIA, where I will go through all the different settings and what I do. But I will show you what I do here in Adobe Premiere. The first thing I do is I go to the preset here, okay? And I select YouTube 4K. Okay, that will set everything for me in terms of, you know, the profile, the level, and everything else. Now I do match source. The minute I click on match source, it will readjust the width and the height of the video to the right resolution, which is 2K. So all my videos are actually in 2K resolution. My live streams are in 1080p, full HD. And the frame rate is 60, as you can see. Now, the only change I make is right here to ensure, because YouTube actually compresses your videos, okay? So what you need to do is you need to make sure that the quality of your video is preserved. I recommend that you always record your video at a rate no less than 40. So your bit rate should be 40. Please don't do anything below that because it will be compressed anyway. So, and you need to do 2 passes. So the target bit rate is going to be 40 and the maximum bit rate is going to be 80. Okay, so 40 and 80. Everything else is the same. If you come down here, there are a few things. So use maximum render quality, it should be checked. And use previews checked as well. And now we are ready to hit export and render the video. On a video like this, where there is only one lower third or one graphic, it actually is very short video, so it should not take more than 10 minutes to render. But my videos, normally the full flight videos, take like hours. So about 2.5, 3 hours sometimes. So I just kind of, hit the export and then I go and do something else. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you in this live stream is the thumbnail. So we can close this now and we can go to Adobe Photoshop. Now, I'm not going to go through the actual design of how I designed the thumbnails, but you guys have seen the progress of what my thumbnails used to look like when I started the channel as to where they are today. And it comes with, again, with experience. It comes with, just seeing what others have done, trying to not mimic what they're doing or copying what they do, but you use others as an inspiration. And that's something very, very important on YouTube. If you want to become successful YouTuber or live streamer, you need to be very, you need to be very original in what you offer and what you provide. So this is basically the thumbnail. So this is how I create the thumbnails for my YouTube videos. And this is the upcoming stream that's set for Saturday at 8:30 GMT +3. We're going to be flying the Zibo mod 737 from Sydney to Melbourne. But this is what I do. So let me show you actually what I do to save time. Okay. I have set up things where I have the main picture as a folder here. So the main picture is actually the X-Plane picture here in the background. So this is something I just get from X-Plane. And then I have the panels. So these are the panels. So if I click on hide, you can see now the panels are going away and coming back as I hide them. And then I have all the text parts. So if I go to this text bar, I'm not sure what's going on with my mouse here. But if I go to the text parts here, you can see this is all the text that I have. So I can modify them very easily to what I want. And finally, I have the logos. So I have all the logos here. Okay, so I have the Zebo, Arabesque, RealView, Q8Pilot logo, Threshold logo, my partners, Twitch, everything. All the logos are here, and I just turn them on and off based on the video. Now, the one thing I do with the thumbnails is this, and I do want to show you this because I think it's quite important, is when I bring in something from Explain, so I go to, should we use MS? No. Maybe, I don't think I'm able to use any screenshots from Microsoft Flight Simulator other than what's already published. So let's not go there. Let's go to Output, and let me select one of the pictures I have here, one of the screenshots. So this one seems interesting. What's this? All right, so this is X-Enviro. This is the Flight Factor A320, Kuwait Airways, the old livery. So all I do is I move this back to, my thumbnail, and then move it back here to the main picture area. Now, as you can see, it's ready to go. Now, the one thing I do is I go to the image mode, and I go to adjustments, brightness and contrast. And this is what I do. I add a little bit of brightness and I add a little bit of contrast to the picture to make it just a little more. See, I just play with this to make it just sharper. So as you can see now, it looks a lot better than, this is the thumbnail is very important, by the way, in YouTube. So it's very, very important that you create an attention getter for people to to come and click on your video in search. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much the process of creating a very short cinematic, exporting it and creating the corresponding YouTube thumbnail. Let me take a few more questions. Have you ever tried the freeware Gulfstream? It even has an Fmod and an update, a better cockpit add-on. No, I have not tried the Gulfstream, but I will. If you can provide the link, and maybe you can put it in the description section, I will definitely do it. A question from Ken Larson: how has Corona changed your life? Well, I think Corona has affected everyone's life in one way or another. It was extremely difficult getting used to working from home. So that was something that, I found very difficult, very distracting, really, working from home, especially with the kids out of school. It's very difficult to really work from home. So that was the challenge, and the kids got really bored with the lockdown. There isn't really much for them to do. So yeah, in that respect, I think it was very difficult. Has it changed my life? It really hasn't changed my life. Still, I am who I am, and I still go about my life exactly the same way. Only with a mask now, of course. But yeah, everything else is pretty much the same. How do you use Explain? Why do you use Explain over P3D? Just wondering. Well, I'm not going to start a war by answering this question here, but I'll tell you this. Explain is far more stable, in my opinion, than P3D as a platform. That's number one. And it's very, very important. So to me, I don't remember the last time I tweaked my Explain settings. Pretty much, you set everything, you hit that sweet spot once, and you're done. With P3D, I have to change the settings for almost every situation, every airport, every aircraft, every different combination of aircraft and an airport. Every time I install an add-on, I have to go and change the settings to, get the performance that I'd like to get. And I find that extremely frustrating, really, to do, especially with the fact that I don't have much time on my hands. It becomes frustrating. That's one thing. The other thing is I find that the flight model in X-Plane is more representative of what reality is. And I haven't done any Boeings or any Airbuses, but of the general aviation aircraft that I flew in real life, I can tell you that I found a lot more resemblance in X-Plane than in P3D when it comes to the real life feeling of an aircraft. There are some things where, so in terms of system simulation, of course, P3D has probably an edge with an aircraft like the PMDG or the Majestic -8 Q400, and it's got a lot more variety when you speak about the big jetliners and really the simulation of systems. But X-Plane is not that far behind in my view, and just look at the Zebo. The Zebo is probably, if not at par with the PMDG, it's slightly better in my view in terms of the simulation of the systems and all the features that comes with it. The -8 is an aircraft that's very close to my heart. I love the Majestic -8, and I actually started P3D because of the -8. I will tell you this, I am anxiously awaiting the Fly JSIM -8 Q400 version 2, which is a totally brand new version. You can actually watch Jack himself developing it on his Twitch channel. I quite enjoy watching him work when I have time. He's a really fine folk, so definitely go and watch his streams while he's streaming. All right, so let's see here. I get really bad FPS in X-Plane. I would go on all those settings and get 20 FPS max with 27X, 1080, more FPS, P3D. Well, look, the FPS is really going to depend very much on the scene. It's going to depend on your graphic card. What is the graphic card optimized for? How is the software written? All of that stuff is going to affect really the performance of the sim. So folks, this is pretty much what I really wanted to share with you today. I hope that this was a useful, insightful live stream. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comment section below. As soon as the video is public, I'll be sure to answer them. Future live streams related to the making of flight sim videos will be exclusive to my members. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Please do stay safe. And until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye for now.